on YouTube. There we go. And we're live. Okay, so you can see where you are there. So let's see. So what I want to talk today about is there's something very, very simple that we need everyone to do to help us with the campaign. First of all, so many of you have been so generous with your communications. We received literally thousands and thousands of emails coming in. Thousands of not just emails, but probably another 10,000 messages coming in per day. And the good news is we have an infrastructure that we've set up to really help take those emails, triage them, and at least get a basic response back to you. So anyone who hasn't heard from us, just know that it's been explosive, the growth that's been taking place because of the educational videos we've been offering, and essentially the resonance we've hit on something that's right on the front page of our site. If you notice, just to clarify, if you notice our site, by the way, if you go to shivaforsenate.com, if you notice it says Dr. Shiva, Truth, Freedom, and Health, and the key words here are really truth, freedom, and health, and revolution. And I want to talk a little bit about that, but that's what is really, I think, inspiring a movement across the world. We have a revolutionary movement that's building, and it's based on the principles truth, freedom, and health. So I want to talk about that, and then I want to really spend time talking about what you can do to help us here and now. And so I want to talk about truth, freedom, health, and then we're going to read some letters. We'll end with some amazing letters we received from all of you. Yeah. Very supportive of the campaign. We have our puppies here. Can you go?
Excuse me.
Michelle's going to go take care of them. But we have an incredible group of people who've written in, and we get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of physical mail coming in, thousands of letters coming in terms of nomination papers. So it's quite extraordinary. So as Michelle's getting ready, quieting down the pups there, what I wanted to review was something very simple, which we've shared before, is really the core of what we all want, which is really truth, freedom, and health. And those of you on Instagram, if you want to know that I'm going to review sort of on the blackboard, if you go to VA Shiva, if you go to Twitter, if you go to YouTube, you'll see this. But fundamentally, what I'm talking about is really three aspects here: truth, freedom, and health. And it took me a while to really hone this down into something that had depth to it, was simple but understandable. So what do I mean by truth, freedom, and health? So we have to contrast that. One way of understanding is through contrast, is that our opposition, they want power, profit, and control. I was just finishing reading a very interesting scholarly article really talking about what's going on, which I've shared before, with the failure of big pharma. And this is something, until you really get into it, but you're going to have to trust my expertise on this, that big pharma, $1 trillion industry, is tanking. They're losing money because it takes so long, about $5.2 billion to actually create a drug. The drugs that comes out of that has massive side effects. Even the FDA is not allowing a lot of these drugs. More importantly, it takes them about, let's say, 13 to 15 years to take a drug through that process. They only have about 5 to 7 years for that drug because of the patent process. The patents are for 20 years. They only have 5 to 7 years to recoup their investments, and they're miserably failing. This is why Bill Gates has stepped into the picture. His Gavi, his vaccine alliance, is really a back room, and in fact now it's front room, openly front with the Clinton Foundation. So Bill Gates and Hillary Clinton are one-on-one. That's why in one of my videos I spoke about how disgusting it frankly is, and how misleading is, and how insidious it is that a guy like Robbie Kennedy I rather call him, talks about he's against mandated vaccines, talks a good game, he's against big pharma, and he talks against Gates, yet he's in love with Hillary Clinton, endorsed her 3 times. But Gavi is a vaccine alliance, and they work hand in hand with the Gates Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiative. You cannot trust people's words. What you need to do is look at their action. This gentleman endorsed Hillary Clinton. So what they want is power, profit, and control. What we want is truth, freedom, and health. And as a part of that, the establishment uses the not so obvious establishment, people who talk a good game, from Bernie Sanders to the Kennedys. But fundamentally, they are tools of the establishment to mislead us. And as you look at this document that I put together here for our quick review, very quick review. This is what we want. This is what they want. Very simple. They want power, profit, and control. Now, the 6 strategies that our enemy uses is exclusivity. They form their little clubs. Anthony Fauci, the CDC, the WHO, I just tweeted out, Anthony Fauci's on the leadership council of the Gates Foundation's collaboration. It's even worse. He's not just on the Gates Foundation, he's on their core leadership council for the vaccine plan, global vaccine plan. Why the hell is Anthony Fauci sitting on there? I didn't authorize him. He's not an elected representative, yet he's designing health policy. So they create these exclusive little clubs. Opacity, things are secret. Reductionists, they should release what they're actually talking about. Reductionist is looking really not at the whole, but looking at the parts. Centralization of power, censorship, and depersonalization, which means they want to treat us all like a blob, not as individuals. So the reason that depersonalization is important, is treating us like a statistic, is that now you can mandate medicine. Forget about the people that the medicine's going to hurt. Just give one standardized medicine, mandated medicine to everyone. So that's part of how the establishment work. They have these 6 principles, and there's others, I'm sure, that they follow. This is what my systems analysis has showed. And just to review, it's the few, the elite, exclusivity, opacity, hidden, very secretive, reductionist, which means they focus on the parts, not the whole, centralization, big pharma, big media, big government. And I want to talk a little bit about the media. You're talking about really moronic, insidious people who frankly have no degrees in science, math, engineering. And when I expose Fauci, when I speak the truth, very moronic people, total morons who work with the Chan Zuckerberg Foundation. Chan, who's Zuckerberg's wife, thinks she's going to control health policy. That's what she thinks. She thinks it's a top-down government, like the Chinese Communist Party, and she thinks she's going to control government through her husband. She's going to control what information is true or not. Well, that woman who has an MD degree, who Zuckerberg is married to, thinks she's going to control what I say and what you say and ban things. Well, she should probably go to hell, because this is fascism. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about an individual and a couple who own one of the biggest platforms, digital platforms, Facebook, and they think they're going to control science, because essentially what you're talking about is centralization of power. And her husband and her both should go to hell, because what they're talking about is they think they know better than all of us. And censorship, which is fall in line, and depersonalization, treating us like statistic. What is it we want? We want truth, freedom, and health. And again, this slogan, by the way, we people are starting to protest across the country with truth, freedom, and health. It's a very simple, powerful slogan, because it goes at the heart of what we all want. And why do I say, well, we all want this? Because truth is fundamental to who we are. We want to know the truth. We want to know science. We want to practice real science. We want freedom, because it's from freedom that we get to truth. And I'll talk about this. And from truth, we get health. And how do we get there? And I just want to make it very clear, we're not going to get to truth, freedom, and health by following the enemy's models. You see, there are some people in this medical freedom movement, the people who made the Vax movie, nice people, but they're sort of, frankly, out of it, because they said, oh, we're going to put our movie in the AMC theaters. Well, the AMC theaters is owned by the Chinese warlords of the Communist Party. Listen to me, the AMC theaters in America is owned by one of the biggest warlords in the Chinese Communist Party. So why would you be so stupid to think, oh, I want to talk about medical freedom, I'm going to put my distribution in the AMC theaters? And that concept is attempting to use the establishment's tactics to win, which means I'm going to go to centralized power control. What we need to recognize is we need to go to our own, we need to build our own ability in a decentralized way to get our message out there. So here, we need to be inclusive. We need to include people. We need to be transparent. We need to take a systems approach, decentralization, freedom, and personalization. So what I mean by this is inclusivity means we're open to all. Transparent means we support open discourse and debate. I was just on a show this evening, and I said, why doesn't Mr. Fauci, why doesn't Mr. Gates, why doesn't Mr. Zuckerberg and the Clintons, and by the way, Chelsea Clinton has a professorship in public health. The woman has no background in this and somehow got a professorship. You actually have to go through a process. I will debate all of them or do a round table with them. I invite them to a discourse for them to explain to me why they want to mandate vaccines for the entire world and what is their agenda in doing that. Let's have a discourse about it. So we will do open discourse, they won't. Let's take a systems approach, which means looking at the body as a whole. Let's be decentralized, direct, and everywhere. The other piece is freedom. We cannot give 1 inch to censorship, not 1 inch. And you guys will see a video when one of these movies came out for medical freedom, the Vax movie. Well, they were putting it in the AMC theaters. I was supposed to speak there, have a forum, and AMC theaters said no speakers. Well, I went there, was sitting in the lobby of the AMC theater. As people were coming out, they said, Dr. Shiva, what do you have to say? And I gave a speech. And in fact, the AMC theaters didn't even try to shut me down. But you know who did? The producers of the Vax movie. Think about that. We got into this situation because of censorship, and these same people are trying to shut me down because what I had to say was about the establishment, and they're like, oh my God, the AMC theaters may shut us down. Well, this is the problem. This is why these our movements don't grow, because we have misleadership. People try to use the establishment's principles to try to get to truth, freedom, and health, and you can't. The means do not justify the end. We have to follow our own principles, and those principles are these: freedom, not 1 inch to censorship; personalization, which means the right medicine for the right person at the right time. So I just want people to look at that. These are the principles of our movement. Invite all. Obviously, when we say invite all, people who support truth, freedom, and health, we're not going to invite the scumbags who support power, profit, and control. You can stay out. When we say invite all, if you support truth, freedom, and health, let's come together and let's have discussion, debate, etc. Transparency, systems thinking. We look at the whole. We look at the whole immune system, and we understand that the immune system is something, when it's weakened and dysfunctional, eats itself, goes after itself. And that's why we need to support people's immune systems. We're decentralized. We take things to the ground, on the streets, directly. Freedom, not 1 inch, and personalization. So in closing, I want to share with you these couple diagrams. People are welcome to take photographs of them. And by the way, I'm sort of very pleased to present these because, I don't know if people know I have a degree in art and design. And to me, when you take a very complex piece, if you talk to really good artists, they get really excited when they take something very complex and they bring it down into something very, very simple without losing that complexity. Some of the greatest abstract artists did this really well. So this little diagram that I have is my little humble attempt to do that. So you look at these 3 balls: truth, freedom, and health. And I want to start with the blue ball here, over here. Freedom. Freedom is a foundation for getting at truth. Why do I say that? Freedom means we have the freedom to discourse and debate and question ourselves. We go into the darkness with ideas. We don't know all the answers. And that means that gives us a framework, because of that debate, to practice what's known as a scientific method and systems thinking. Systems thinking in the scientific method is we look at the world with awe. We don't know everything. And we basically take an approach that we make a guess of why we think something's taking place. We gather data. We see if that data and our models matches the results. And if it does, or our hypothesis. And if it doesn't, it doesn't matter, as I keep mentioning, as Richard Feynman said, how good looking you are, what family you come from, whether your name is Clinton or Gates or Kennedy, you're just wrong. Okay? It doesn't matter. Okay? But freedom, okay? Freedom is a foundation of this. Freedom, as I'm talking about here, allows us to do science. Right now, what we have going on is we have a scientific establishment. If you say anything against the fundamental narrative, you're out. You don't get a job in academia. You don't get tenure. And the 2 people that control funding in the biological sciences are Anthony Fauci and Francis Collins, and a couple of university presidents. And that's the way it goes. So that's why none of those guys down the street at MIT or Harvard or Yale who've told me that what I'm saying is true about the immune system, they're not going to say anything because they're going to get their fundings cut. Whether it be climate change or this or gun violence, they all suppress the truth because they are essentially controlled. They are basically have big golden handcuffs on them. So we don't get to truth. But with the scientific method, we get to truth. And with truth is where we can identify real problems and real solutions. Wow, what is the real problem with the immune system? Well, the immune system is if you compromise it, if you don't get enough vitamin D, if you don't get enough vitamin A, if your thyroid isn't working right, if your stomach acids aren't working right, if your microbiome isn't there, that's when you compromise immune health. But if we beef that up, your immune system is strong. You can take all sorts of viruses. You may get a sniffle, an allergy. It's a function of your genetics. But fundamentally, your immune system gets stronger and stronger and stronger. That's not what Anthony Fauci is talking about. Well, freaking Bill Gates, another person who should be indicted and is doing crimes against humanity, him and his wife, fundamentally, they hang out in their cliques. They practice institutional racism. They support pharma companies to go get the cheapest costs to places like Africa and third world countries to do drug testing because it's getting too expensive here. So they go take advantage of other people. That's what it's about. And they create fake problems and fake solutions to support their masters who are multi-trillion-dollar pharmaceutical companies. But if we focus on truth, we can get to real problems and real solutions. We create incredible health, and then we have the strength to have real infrastructure and resilient systems. So what you see is this is an amazing cycle. What is it they want, okay? And this is what they want, okay? They want us not to practice a scientific method. They don't want us to get to truth. What they want us to do something much more insidious, which is almost like a new religion, scientific consensus. So they breed fear. That's what they're doing right now, right before our very eyes.
Yep.
They're breeding fear. They're fear-mongering. Fear-mongering, fear-mongering, fear-mongering. And with fear, oh my God, the earth is going to die. Everything is, we're going to be all flooded. Everyone's going to die. Pandemics. Based on fake science. Okay? Using fear, they get everyone to what's called scientific consensus, not the scientific method. Remember, there was a time when 97% of the people thought the sun, or the elites, pushed forward the sun went out around the earth. Why? Because they wanted to promote a geocentric agenda to bring power to themselves, not to the natural laws of the universe, but to themselves, as though they were the centers of power. But one guy had data, one or two people had data, that was not true. Well, they were vilified, they were excoriated, they were attacked by the fake news media of the time. Oh, you didn't invent email. Your data doesn't mean anything. Your 4 degrees at MIT overnight don't mean something, by people who are agents of the deep state who would not even be able to enter a class that I would teach. They would not have the qualifications even to enter an undergraduate class. That is what we've created. We've created a bunch of seriously very, very insidious bootlicking people who bootlick up to their editors, and the editors have to bootlick up to their publishers, who bootlick themselves up to the deep state. I had a very lovely reporter call me today from a major newspaper. She said, I agree with everything you're saying. I know, she goes, I take care of my health. I take vitamins. I take food. She goes, I find it amazing that none of these hospitals are recommending vitamin C, IV vitamin C. And I gave her all the data. And I go, do you think they're going to write this? She goes, Dr. Shiva, I don't know. She goes, I'm sure my editor will nix it because of the pressure. So think about that. Now, she's an honest reporter. Most of them are sellouts. They got mama and papa's money. They got $200,000 loans. They'll do whatever it takes. But this woman was willing to be honest, to say that even the truth I was sharing with her would be X'd out, and they would do ad hominems against me. So think about that. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of people with golden handcuffs treated as slaves. So what you have here is you have fear, which pushes everything to scientific consensus. And from scientific consensus, we're able to create fiction. I'm going to show you an example of that. And from fiction, we create fake problems and fake solutions. You know what this leads to? Fascism. And when you have fascism, people are frozen. They're incapable of fighting for their freedom. So just look at this for a second. I just want everyone to meditate on this and understand what is going on right before our eyes. We are developing scientific consensus as though these viruses are going to destroy our bodies. And then they create the fake problem. Vaccines, vaccines, vaccines. Social distancing is the only way. And flatten the curve. Fake solutions. And then part of this is to impose fascism. So where we're headed is mandated medicine, top-down medicine, when we know scientifically that when people are isolated, it's what prisons do. In fact, it's worse in prison what's going on. Why do you think they put people in solitary confinement? It's a psychological breakdown. But we know that medically, physiologically, biochemically, when people are in social isolation, it basically destroys your immune system. The detriment of social isolation is worse than high blood pressure, worse than smoking, worse than obesity. And this is not me. This is one of the 1988 landmark studies that was done on humans as well as monkeys, primates, showing that social isolation increases inflammation. It decreases antiviral activity in your body at the cellular level, at the gene level, at the gene expression level. So what they're doing is their solution is nonsense. They don't want to talk about beefing up the immune system. This is purely intended to scare the shit out of all of us. Good people. So we all will say, yes, vaccinate me, please. Yes, vaccinate my neighbor. Please put a chip on us. Yes, I will accept the immunity card. And this means trillions and trillions of dollars for Big Pharma, whose industry over there is burning down. Their pharmaceutical model is burning down. And that's why they have complete disgusting human beings like Bill Gates, who's a dropout, whose mama and papa helped him. He didn't work hard like me to actually invent the first email system. He bought it from someone thievery and sold it to IBM. That's what he did. And now he's writing his own movies, how smart he is. Well, Bill Gates, come in, let's have a debate. Let's talk about the immune system, okay? Let's talk about operating systems. Let's talk about what you actually did not do. And let's talk about how I invented email and how you, frankly, have taken advantage of people at a very fundamental level. Let's talk about that. But going back to this diagram, it's really important that you absorb this. This is where we're at. We're at this point in human history where we're seeing an experiment taking place. Fear and to engender fiction, to engender fascism, and this is their cycle. Let me also just make it very clear. Now, I've been building software since I was a 14-year-old kid. You know, when we build software, first we do an alpha release, internal test. Then we do a beta release, we test it with customers, and then we do the gold release. This Event 201 that Mr. Gates and others of his buddies did was like an alpha release of the software, which means let's test a pandemic out. Let's get feedback. This could be a beta release, getting ready for a gold release. So I want to warn people, what is occurring today is going to just keep escalating if we don't stop it, here and now. So truth, freedom, and health is what it's about. And what you want to look at here is that what is evidence? And I want people to understand. People say, well, what is evidence? What is a definition of evidence? What is a definition of evidence? And a good true scientist, friend of mine, Dick Lindzen, has this definition, which is an excellent definition. It says, in order for that to be evidence, there cannot be ambiguity. It means evidence is something that is unambiguously predicted. So just look at that. What is evidence? Evidence is something where there cannot be ambiguity. It means evidence is something that is unambiguously predicted. So what does that mean in science? What do we do in science, right? I come up with a hypothesis. I think when an apple falls from a tree, that the force between the apple and the earth is equal to some equation. The gravitational force of the earth times the mass of the apple times the mass of the earth divided by r, the radius, squared between the point at the center of the earth to the center of that apple, radius squared, okay? That is called Newton's law of gravitation. Now, that is a model that Newton came up with. Then he tested it, which means, he observed what happens, he calculated it, and it led to the force being an unambiguous prediction. In fact, if you want to think about it a very simple way, if an apple falls from a tree, his equations unambiguously, which is evidence, predict that when the apple falls, it will fall to the tree, fall down at a certain rate in a certain time, and you can calculate it. It's unambiguous. Now imagine that I told you that, oh yeah, we've been modeling how the apple interacts with the earth, right? And we found that in one case, the apple will be suspended at 2 feet in the air. In another case, it'll be about 4 feet. In another case, it may hit the ground. Is that science? No, that's called indeterminacy. It's not science. That's not evidence that your model matches reality, okay? But let me show you how the bullshit that's taking place by these academics who are essentially prostitutes. That's what they've become. No different than Hollywood celebrities. I'm not talking about the great actors nor the great scientists. I'm talking about the celebrities like Lady Gaga, George Clooney, people who frankly don't have a lot of understanding of politics or systems, nor do a lot of these academics. They're second-rate scientists. They basically learned how to kiss ass all the way. They learned how to sleep with Harvey Weinstein. They learned how to, toke up to Jeffrey Epstein, including the president of MIT, who should, by the way, resign. After he knew Epstein was convicted, he took in more money. That's called prostitution. The president of MIT. All right? So that's the reality. But let's talk about this again. Unambiguously predicted. Okay? Unambiguously predicted. So what you see here is in the IPCC report, which is a report of all these people saying the earth is going to fall down, the ice shelves are going to melt, all the ice sheets are going to melt in Antarctica. Well, if you practice science, they're supposed to do science. And what science means is that they come up with a guess, the Arctic ice sheet's going to melt. They're supposed to come up with a model. And if the model is correct, it should be unambiguous, right? Well, look at what these morons have come up with that they're trying to shove down the throat with idiots like Al Gore, okay? A very foolish individual who couldn't even, I think he had to flunk out of most of his college, all right? Except his mama and papa helped him. But what you see here is 40 different models. Let me show what this graph is. This is the year on the x-axis. On the y-axis is essentially the percent of the ice that will be melted. Okay, just look at that. What do you see here? Do you see one beautiful unambiguous line? No. What you see is 40 different models. So this model here, if you follow this one, predicts that all the ice will melt to 0% will melt. This one predicts nearly 100% will melt. And there's a Baskin-Robbins flavor for everyone who wants one. Okay? So this is an ice cream store. That's what they've created, an ice cream store of science that you can choose where that apple falls from the tree. It's total bullshit. And this is in the IPCC report. It's not science, it's fake science. And that fake science is being used to determine public policy, which will determine how much we, the American workers, are going to pay more in carbon tax, which means inflation of all products and services, again, to serve an elite who are going to become trillionaires when the carbon equity tax explodes in 2030, when all of us will have to buy carbon taxes to offset so-called CO2. So just think about this. This is not science. It's bullshit. It's total bullshit. Okay? Same as a bullshit of that Mr. Fauci is doing out there by scaring the bejesus out of everyone. And by the way, as I mentioned, he sits on the leadership council of the vaccine plan organization started by the Gates Foundation, and he collaborates with them. What the hell is he doing there? I didn't put him there. You didn't put there. He's not even elected for this. So that's what's going on. So I hope that gives you, in summary, what our goal is. Our goal, again, why this campaign and why the revolution has occurred is everyone is understanding this diagram. And everyone should absorb this. This is our future. We must fight for freedom. Mm-hmm. And if you go to our campaign, I lay out the 3 policies. We must have truth and we must have health. This is what we as free people want. Now, if you go here back to the website, you'll notice that on the website, by the way, this is shivaforsenate.com. If you go to the bottom of this, we'll be putting out all these policies. We have the Citizen Science Act. This is how we get to truth, which means we have to ensure that we as citizens own the data that we support in public funding. That is our data. We need a Digital Rights Act. We need the United States Postal Service, by the way, which I've talked about, which is being ravaged again, bunch of numbskulls who run it. They're not the innovators that Ben Franklin was. The Postal Service was set up not just to transfer postal mail, but it was supposed to be a vehicle for communications, the public commons. So I've been commissioned to write reports for them. They are supposed to be the public commons where we will have an infrastructure for digital communications, which means they should be providing a version of Facebook, YouTube, email, right? Where we may pay $50 a year, but no one can interfere with that because that is supported by the laws of the Constitution, okay? That's the Digital Rights Act. And how do we get, so that's for truth. This is for freedom. This is for truth. And how do we get to health? the Health Rights Act. And what this is about is we need to eliminate all these freaking middlemen. We need to decentralize healthcare. If she's my healthcare practitioner, it's what she and I decide through our relationship to find out what's right for me. We don't need top-down medicine. We don't need freaking Bill Gates telling me how much I need to vaccinate my kids. Okay? I'm sure he eats organic food. I'm sure he doesn't feed his kids genetically engineered food. Okay? I bet you he doesn't. And I'm sure Hillary Clinton doesn't to her grandchild. But for us, Bill Gates owns shares in Monsanto. Hillary Clinton got money from Monsanto and the Gates Foundation. Okay? So what we're talking about is we need truth, freedom, and health. So what can you do? Everyone is asking me, what can you do? Let's talk about that. What you can do right now, as I put it on my tweet, is we need to get another 5,000 signatures to get on the ballot. What they have done is, first of all, they make it very difficult to even collect the signatures, okay?
Yeah.
Our campaign, Michelle will tell you, we go on the ground. We actually go out, stand in front of grocery stores like we did last year when I ran against the fake Indian Elizabeth Warren. We got 20,000 signatures. You know what these guys do? You know, they're crooked, all of them. They go pay people to collect signatures.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Michelle works full time. After work, she'll go an hour in the rain, in the snow, and collect. She collected nearly 3,000 signatures with people like Jeremy, okay? You know, we have people like Catherine. We have amazing volunteers, bottoms up people like you and me who are actually play the game fair. These freaking lawyer lobbyists I run against, one of them, you know, supported by the GOP establishment, put in my way. You know, I should be on the Republican nominee. By the way, I don't care about the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. But last time when I ran as a Republican. They threw in a guy called Dirty Deal. He photoshopped a picture with the President of the United States. There's 3 hands in that picture. And the GOP establishment, led by a scumbag called Jim Lyons, who acts as though he's a Trumper, didn't even want a lawn sign of President Trump on his lawn. And if the president's listening to him, he should understand who this guy Lyons is. And he works with Charlie Baker, who hates Trump. So they play this Tweedledee Tweedledum game. Oh, I don't like Baker. He's against Trump. Well, he hates Trump. And he doesn't want me on the ballot. So he has run another guy who they funded back end to stop me from getting the Republican nomination. But we are going to win it with your help because we're going direct. And what everyone can do to get us on the ballot, we need signatures. So the GOP establishment has forced, which is, by the way, Charlie Baker, who hates Trump, has forced the grocers, when our people go, to send out police when it's illegal to stop us from collecting signatures. All right? When we practice social distancing and everything. Michelle, you want to tell what happened to you when you were out collecting signatures?
Yeah, I was out collecting signatures. We have a little table set up, a little, hand
gloves,
sanitizer, gloves, mask. And we stand 15, 20 feet away from the door and just ask people if they'd like to sign to get a Republican on the ballot. And then the folks that are interested, they approach us. And we step back and they can sign and, we still keep our distance. But it's
What happened at one of the grocery stores? The
police came out. The police came out and asked us to leave and said they were going to arrest me for, what was it, disturbing the peace?
Trespassing, yeah.
Trespassing, because I was on their property and they didn't want us there anymore. They had gotten some complaints.
They made up rules.
Yeah.
There's a Supreme Court judicial ruling. We have every right to collect. So that's what's going on. So what we've done, with your help, and this is how you can help everyone listening, please right now, if everyone listening, call up all your friends tonight. Text all of them that you know in Massachusetts. So wherever you are, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're in Australia or New Zealand or Fiji. By the way, all these or Italy, wherever. Everyone here must be 1 degree, 2 degrees of freedom away from someone in Massachusetts.
Yep.
Everyone, listen carefully. Call your friends.
Yep.
Tell them right now. Hopefully they're registered. Have to be an independent or Republican. They can be registered an independent or Republican, unenrolled. Tell them to go to Shiva for Senate right now.
Yep.
Right now. And if you're in Massachusetts, do that right now. Go to this website, Shiva for Senate. Let me show you. It's really simple. Shiva4Senate.com. Tell them to go to the top of the page and scroll down, just one little scroll, and they'll see this thing. It says, Get Dr. Shiva on the ballot. And what it says is submit your contact information so we can send you nomination papers. And Michelle's going to show you one of these. This is what a nomination paper looks like.
So this is the nomination paper. It's
you may want
on
to
legal
hold
size.
it right here so people can see it. Everyone can see it here on Instagram. It's a nomination paper. Go ahead, Michelle.
I really want to point out the important, when we'll mail them out to you, and at the bottom, I don't know if they can read it,
There,
but
yep.
you write the town name right here, you print it, and then you sign your name in the first box, and then write your street address in the next box. And if you have chicken scratch for handwriting, we ask that you try to print your name in the box as well. And then you just fold it up, put it in the envelope we provide you for the town clerk in your area, and we also provide another folded envelope so they can, it's already addressed and stamped, so they can send back the certified signature sheets to us at headquarters. So we really tried to make this as easy as possible. We have great volunteers. We'd like to say thank you to them for helping with this.
Yeah, we had like 15 volunteers. They're packed, and these people are coming bottoms up. They're not paid like these other establishment parties. These people are coming bottoms up to help us with our campaign. They've come, they've stuffed the envelopes, they put the mailing labels on them, and they send them out. However, the GOP establishment, the Democratic Party establishment have whole machines, and that's what they do. They play games. They're acting like, they're fighting to get on the ballot, when what they're doing is trying to position one of the other guys as a fighter. That's what's going on. The bottom line is, the way we win this is go here, and when you click on that little link, it'll take you to a page right here. Click on it and tell your friends. If everyone listening, I know there's about a couple thousand people right now on YouTube, couple of thousand people on Facebook, and about 500 people on Instagram, and probably more people on Twitter. If all of you, probably about 4,000, 5,000 people live right now concurrently, and we'll probably have about 100, 200,000 viewers by this night's done, right now, call up one of your friends in Massachusetts and tell them to go to this page and fill out their first name, their last name, their email, their address, their phone number, choose which city they're in. This is in Massachusetts, and their zip code. And we will literally mail to them, as Michelle said, the envelope. And when they get it, they simply sign their name with their street address. They put it in the envelopes and they send it back to us. So they just need to go to Shiva for Senate. Again, go to Shiva for Senate. Really, really easy. Yeah. They click on this little mugshot of me over here, which has got the American flag and signature, and then they fill this out and we get it. That's what we need people to do right now. That's what we need to, oops, did I share everything? I don't know if I was, sorry about that. If you go here again, you fill out this thing, first name, last name, and as Michelle shared, there's a signature page. But most importantly, we make it easy. We're shipping this to your door. It costs us quite a bit of money costs us about $4 to send each one of these out. It's 2 envelopes, a cover thing, stamps, etc. But we're doing that with all the generous donations that we've been receiving. That's where our money's going. None of us are paid on our campaign. I don't take a penny. She doesn't. All of us are working people. Yeah. We're not political hacks here. We're not lawyer lobbyists. I'm running against 3 lawyers. It's time that we win for all of us, because we've never had someone like us representing us. So I want to close where Michelle and I are going to share some very nice letters, because these are really, really, this is our the gifts that we're all getting. So the first one I have, where's the one that has the chai? Yeah. So if someone knows, I did a whole video teaching people how to make lamb curry, and someone just wrote back, Dr. Shiva, Gail. I guess Gail is, what does Gail do? Gail is the owner of her own lawn care. Okay. Gail owns her own natural lawn care in New Jersey, which means she uses organic fertilizers, etc. And Gail basically said, enjoyed the lamb curry, enjoy the lamb curry and your coronavirus video. Just getting into Ayurveda and healing my gut. Keep up the good fight. Gail, again, she's a woman who's a entrepreneur or small business person. Thank you, Gail.
And this one is from Jean. It says, Dear Dr. Shiva, we pray you are the senator. We all win if you win. God bless.
And this is one from Pat. And Pat actually runs her own services business, I think in the security business. Again, a small business owner. She goes, I don't have much money, Shiva, I don't have much money to give. And she gave, $15. Very, very thoughtful of you, very generous. And by the way, you know that anyone, when you give us money, we're actually sending people out a book, an ebook, which you can get called System. By the way, you should make sure all these people are put into the database, Michelle, so they all get it. So they get a book called System and Revolution, and they get access to a tool that I created, a piece of software called Your Body, Your System. But anyway, Gail says, if I could, is there any other way I could help your campaign? I would be glad to do it. I hope you can convince also President Trump. Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's from Pat Wood.
So this one's a little harder to read. Do you want to read this one?
Sure. This one says, greetings, Dr. Shiva. It's from a woman who is of Indian origin. And she says, greetings, Dr. Shiva. I know the difference between Dr. B.A. Ambedkar. Ambedkar was an untouchable who became a fighter. And she goes, and Gandhi. Dr. Ambedkar would not call him Mahatma. Mahatma, I know why. You see, Mahatma Gandhi means a great one, okay? The Lord, okay? Essentially, someone that comes from God. That's what Mahatma Gandhi established himself as. He goes, by the way, he's part of the not-so-obvious establishment. My kinship is with Dr. Ambedkar and love the fact that he was a polymath. Dr. Shiva, here is a donation towards your campaign for U.S. Senate. I have sarcoidosis and type 2 diabetes. If you help me heal from these two diseases, I will send you another donation. You don't have to do that. I do not eat meat. I don't, it's no play here, but I will give, Name will call and give my thoughts on this. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I have another one that's from Trudy, and she says, enclosed is a campaign contribution for Dr. Shiva for $30. We are grateful he is seeking office and praying he will be elected. We are both retired.
So here's also someone, Barbara, and Barbara writes, dear Dr. Shiva, she sent this on Easter Sunday. It says, gratitude for your knowledge and ability and willingness to share this with the world. I'm in Connecticut, would vote for you tomorrow if I could. You should be a senator and the state would be honored to have you, the taxpayers, or head the corrupt CDC and change the culture there. The world, especially USA, needs you. Look, wherever you are, our campaign for U.S. Senate in Massachusetts is no longer just a campaign for U.S. Senate in Massachusetts. It's becoming a campaign for truth, freedom, and health. And so wherever you are, this is your campaign. This is not my running for Senate. And I know, look, one senator can't change the world, but our winning this will be a movement. It will be a big defeat for the establishment and the not-so-obvious establishment in the deep state.
Mm-hmm. And I have one from Joanne. She says, dear Dr. Shiva, I'm sad that my state of Illinois doesn't have someone with your character running for the many federal offices. Keep on keeping on, praying that God's army of angels will minister you throughout your campaign. Blessings and Godspeed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Michelle. You can, yeah.
And then Shiva, I believe you. I believe in you, Christine. Another one is
Maybe we can read that last one, yeah.
this one?
Yeah.
Okay, and this one's from Claire and from Arizona, and she sent a really thoughtful and long letter. I'm just going to read part of it, though.
Just to see, here you can see people are writing sometimes these very, very long letters. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
6 pages.
6 pages. And believe it or not, I actually spend time reading this stuff, okay?
Yeah.
It just takes me a lot of time, so if I don't get back to you, I apologize.
Says, the America we were given is certainly not the one under which we live today. I truly appreciate your willingness to step up and do what you can to help right our ship of state. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. Sincerely, for freedom. And her name is Claire. And then there's just one more.
Okay, Michelle's got one more. Yep.
I like reading these letters. It's so wonderful to share. It takes a lot of effort to send them in for you folks to mail them in to us. So we want to celebrate you as well. Dr. Shiva, please let me know any way I can help from California. I always forward your post. I'm sending a small donation and will continue to send more as I can. I appreciate all you do. You're one of the great men left fighting for our rights. Without people like you, I would feel hopeless. All my gratitude, Natalie. So thank you.
Well, anyway, this is our fight for truth, freedom, and health. we must be the light, we must know the truth, and we must find our way. And it's going to come from recognizing that there's a lot more of us than them. Okay, let's never forget that.
Yeah.
And there was a time, as I kept talking about in the last few days, where it's not so long ago, so that people should recognize there are people who actually think they're better than us. And I'm not just talking about racism. I'm not talking about, a particular skill set. I'm talking about a caste system, that a finite set of people, from the trillionaires to the Gateses to a few set of people, they actually think they're smarter than you, better than you. And that is not what being human is about. The fact is that innovation isn't all in our DNA. Everyone wants to be a creative human being. Everyone has an artistic flair to them. Mm-hmm. Everyone has creativity. And the notion is that they have created this narrative that only a few of them are smart. That's why they hate the story about the invention of email. That's why they attack it so viciously, because the facts are black and white on it. I was a guy who wrote all the code, captured all the features of the interoffice mail system.
50,000 lines.
50,000 as a 14-year-old kid, named it email, and got the first US government. There's no controversy. Yet they had to go on Wikipedia, create controversy, attack it. Luckily, I won a major lawsuit against Gawker Media, and we drove them into bankruptcy. Then we fought another foolish individual who has nothing better to do, tech shit. I think that's the name of the organization. But we forced them to settle. But they still do not want to accept the fact, because these people are paid by the military-industrial academic complex to create the narrative that innovation and truth and science must come from top down, okay? Must come from those who control, the powers of the military-industrial complex, that it's surely innovation, science cannot come from the edges. But that is always where great innovation comes from. So they don't want solutions like vitamin D, vitamin A, herbs, foods as medicine, spices, to beef up your immune system. In fact, if you go to the Instagram account of the Prime Minister of India, he himself, because of his tradition, is putting forward herbs, putting forward things, okay, that support the immune system. And this is the truth. So stupid idiots like Chan Zuckerberg, who attack this, need to recognize that they're actually being racist. They're actually so-called into inclusivity and diversity. When they attack indigenous culture solutions, when they attack people's right to the sun, which is where vitamin D comes from, and eating vegetables, they're actually racist. And these are the same people who say that we care about blacks and whites and we want to create we are the world stuff. They're actually institutional racists, and that's who we need to call out. Anyway, in closing, and we can look at a couple of messages, the most important thing people need to do, what you can do, is get on the phone, tell people, again, to go to this website, Shiva for Senate, and tell them to just go to the front page. It takes about 45 seconds. I've done it, okay? You go to the front page, go down and get Shiva on the ballot, click this, put your name in, first name, 5 seconds. Last name, 5 seconds. Email, 8 seconds. You can add it up. It comes to around 45 seconds. Fill this in, and voila, we will mail to you. A letter with everything, and that's how we win. We get on the ballot, we win the Republican nomination, and we win truth, freedom, and health. So anyway, let me actually look if there's any interesting stuff coming in on YouTube here. It says, let's see, preach, no gravity, buoyancy. Oh gosh, yes. Let's see, faith, unity provides strength in numbers, wisdom and organization multiplies. Hi, Michelle. Thank you for supporting. What else? Someone last time was commenting that Michelle kept staring at my shoulder, so they thought she was sort of. Anyway, we have funny people. But this is Michelle's first time.
With this.
She was being trolled by some guy.
Yeah, it's called a creeper or something.
Right. What else do we have here? Okay, going by really fast. I wonder if we can slow this down. Oh, here it is. I can slow this. Look at this.
Oh, wow.
So here we go. We have Rip Rogan, Aaron Schwartz. What do we go? They don't own the earth. Exactly. And what are we getting here? Let me see on my... Here I'm getting people...
And out-of-state people can also go to vashiva.com.
Yes. Yeah, and those people are out of the country. Those people who are out of the country, you can go to my website, vashiva.com, to sign the contact. If you want to get access to the Your Body, Your System tool, as in closing, I guess Michelle's reminding me, remember, one of the core things that I'm about is to educating people on how the body is a system. Truth, freedom, and health is a system, okay? And in order to educate you on the system, let me just make sure Instagram people, we're not losing them. Let's go here. So in order to educate you on the system, anyone who comes to the website, and if you click on donate, I think we have it set, as I keep mentioning, at $25. People get this amazing book that I wrote. I don't write a lot, but when I do something, I do it with a lot of care and love. This really teaches you how the entire fundamentals of systems thinking, systems theory, and then you get this tool, Your Body, Your System. We have it at 25, but then because if you notice there's something here that says due to the economic distress, many are facing donated whatever you can, even 5 or 10. And I've further said that if any one of you guys is having any issues in even doing that, please write to me at vashiva@vashiva.com. It comes to me. We send it to our volunteers who'll also give you a scholarship so you can get it. So the goal is, it's not about money. This is about building a movement. And we want to support our brothers and sisters who are suffering. But the idea is to give knowledge so you can empower yourself.
Yeah.
So there you go, everyone. That is tonight. We have by the way, it's really important that everyone understand, people keep telling me that I don't share my credentials. I have 4 degrees from MIT and my PhD is biological engineering. I've won every major award. I was on the front page of MIT for discovering many other things and inventing things. And what's really disgusting is when I'm exposing Fauci, you have idiots, total idiots, saying, oh, he didn't invent email. Okay, that's their ad hominem. And they essentially are just completely vomiting the fake historians who are part of the military-industrial academic complex. The second thing is, the goal is to deny all the hard work that I did. Do my 4 degrees at MIT don't matter? Does it not matter that I'm a Fulbright scholar? Does it not matter that I got invited to the National Science Foundation to give a prestige lecture? Does it not matter that I gave the MIT presidential lectureship? Okay? Yes, I expose MIT even, but they cannot deny that I'm pretty damn good, I know what I'm talking about. They can't deny talent. So what's deplorable and disgusting is that these minions of Big Pharma write for these organizations, and we should destroy them, completely vilify them.
And what's worse is the racism that we receive by acting like Dr.SHIVA is invisible, right?
Yeah, it's like they don't even want to do fake news. It's invisible news.
It's invisible news.
And these
ignoring him. That's the worst racism that I think we encounter.
And it is racism. And the people doing this are not the white working class, who, by the way, love me and they support me. I grew up with them. It is the quote-unquote liberal, elite, multiracial racists. The multiracial, I'm not even talking about white people. We're talking about a segregationist attitude. Them trying to say what a inventor should look and feel like. And surely they do not like someone like me who fights aggressively. It's these same people. Oh, he shouldn't talk like that. He shouldn't have that tone. Well, screw you. Okay? I'm not going to talk like Bernie Sanders. I'm not going to talk like Bobby Kennedy, okay? Saying I'm against, Bill Gates. Meanwhile, I'm in bed with Hillary Clinton, okay? We need to get back to truth, and truth is going to come from people bottoms up. And that's who I am. That's who you are. We don't need top-down people. Right. We don't need you celebrities. Go do your celebrity bullshit, okay? Stay out of our way. We don't need the Kennedys anymore. You go do your Kennedy, whatever you do, okay? What we need is bottoms-up movement, and that's what this movement is about. It's about truth, freedom, and health by you and I standing up for ourselves and seizing back our freedom, our truth, and our health. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michelle.
Good night.
Truth, freedom, and health. Be the light. Thank you. Let me, I'll come back to our people 1 second.